In the near future, artificial intelligence is a hot topic among scientists. Lots of talented individuals race to give their take on AI and how to create them. The first person is Max Waters, whose goal is to apply it in medical applications and finding cures for incurable diseases. On the other hand, his colleague Evelyn Castor thinks that AI can be used to heal not the people, but the planet itself, such as conquering poverty, hunger, and even ecological crises. Meanwhile, Evelyn's husband, Will Castor, is interested in understanding the capacity of AI to truly overcome humans in more ways than one. He pictures a powerful and self-aware AI, with more computational power than the entire humanity combined, as the singularity or transcendence. One of the audiences thinks that Will wants to create a god, so he shoots Will after the seminar, before finally shooting himself. The mass turns chaotic, but a mysterious girl named Bree turns back to confirm that Will is dead. As Will is getting treated at the hospital, several AI research labs have also been attacked by terrorists throughout the US. Luckily, Will survives the attack, thanks to the surgery performed. However, Max comes and informs that a well-known researcher in the AI field has been killed in an attack. In addition, one of their close colleagues who works for the government has also lost his team. He is waiting at Will's company with an FBI agent to investigate the attack together. Arriving at Will's office, Will's colleague named Joseph has brought an FBI agent named Buchanan. Buchanan reveals that the attacks were performed by an anti-AI organization called RIFT, Revolutionary Independence from Technology. They believe that AI transcendence will bring downfall to humanity. As the only remaining company to possess a strong AI, Buchanan is intrigued to see Will's main project. They then go to a special room especially for PIN, Physically Independent Neural Network. The project is a cutting-edge AI, powered by quantum processors. With connection to the internet, PIN recognizes and greets everyone in the room, including Buchanan the FBI agent. As they converse about PIN's possibilities, Will feels sick and is rushed to the hospital. Unfortunately, the bullet that hit Will has been laced with polonium, making him suffer from radiation poisoning and only has 5 weeks left to live. Not having much time left, Will decides to spend the rest of his life together with his loved one, Evelyn. However, she hasn't given up on him. She believes that she can save Will's consciousness and be together with him. She plans to follow the footsteps of their colleague who has successfully uploaded a monkey's consciousness to a computer. So, she asks for the research files from Joseph, and then steals a few of PIN's quantum cores. She uses an abandoned gym as her home base for the project. Evelyn also asks for Max's help to transfer Will's consciousness to a computer. Max is reluctant to help as he thinks that if the experiment works, it will only be a digital approximation of Will's consciousness. However, Will wants to give it a try and manages to convince Max. As Evelyn and Will are making all the preparations, Will keeps getting sicker day by day. While Will is alive, they scan his face and record his voice while also taking care of him and resolving some of the computational aspects of the transfer. Max is still doubtful that they will be able to achieve what they want, but Evelyn never loses hope even once because she doesn't want to let her husband go. After most of the work is done, Will succumbs to the radiation and dies. Evelyn, Max, and Joseph spread his ashes, but soon after, she goes back to work on getting him back. Haven't reached their goal, Rift isn't resting either. Bree finds out that someone took out a few of PIN's cores even though the AI itself had been shut down. Unbeknownst to them, the culprits are Evelyn and Max who have reached an impasse in getting Will's consciousness back. She isn't ready to let him go but decides that she should shut down the project anyway. Max affirms her decision and gives her a few moments to say goodbye to Will. Before she shuts down the computer, something shows up on the screen that comes fully into view when she comes back to delete the drives. Thankfully, Max notices that sign of intelligence. The computer asks, "Is anyone there?" Evelyn is ecstatic when she realizes what is happening and immediately turns on the microphones and speakers so they could talk to Will directly, and the camera so he can see them. Will sounds strange and confused, so Evelyn thinks that he's still fragmented. Having great computational capabilities from PIN's cores, he begins reordering his own code, which excites Evelyn. Max on the other hand is very concerned, wondering whether the thing they're talking to is even Will. Meanwhile, the AI is creating new designs as to where and how it should be housed, how it should be powered, showing the designs to them and asking Evelyn to connect him to the internet. That frightens Max more, so he argues with Evelyn over the ethics of allowing such an entity the enormous access it wants to the entire world. He asks her to shut it down until they can figure out what it really is. Evelyn is angered by Max's response, so she chases him out and then continues to talk to Will. She is ready to do everything he asks for. Upset about what he has just witnessed, Max goes to a bar for a stiff drink. Then, Bree approaches him. She asks for his help to end the AI era, persuading him by saying that most of the people in Rift were actually inspired by his philosophical work on the question of human-to-machine interface. Max refuses her offer, so Bree and her compatriots kidnap him. As they arrive at their base, they tell him about how much they know about Pin and what they suspect Evelyn is doing. Interestingly, the terrorists share Max's fears about the entity, but he continues refusing to help them. However, Rift hacks into his phone and finds Evelyn's location. Before they arrive at the location, Evelyn has already managed to connect Will or the AI to the internet and flee the gym. So, they arrive too late. Evelyn is already communicating with Will on the internet as he searches for everything they will need for the next steps of their project. He transfers a lot of money to her account and makes a reservation for her to stay in a hotel, because she can't go back home to avoid the terrorists. Bree goes back to their base and informs Max about everything that has happened, from the AI going online, to the money transfer. She tries to convince him to help them because he knows the source code of the AI, but he refuses once more. Meanwhile, Joseph works with the FBI to figure out where Rift might strike again, when they suddenly get an incredible amount of information about the organization on their computers. Convinced that they are being helped and not hacked, Buchanan orders to find out who it is. Simultaneously, Evelyn gets sent by Will to a small and deteriorating town in the middle of the desert, called Brightwood, where she can build a hub for them, accustomed to everything they will need. There, she hires Martin, the town's constructor, to pretty much renovate the entire town as well as build them a massive underground facility. Martin is excited by the size of the project, but doubts he has the capabilities to do so. However, Evelyn ensures him that she will supply everything that he needs. After the agreement, the construction in the town begins. Meanwhile, Rift keeps trying to figure out a way to break Max and get them to their side. Bree tells him the story about the experiments with the monkeys because she worked with his colleague who solved the problem of the transfer. However, she says that the experiment was both a success and a failure. While the consciousness was transferred successfully, it suffered immensely in its new state of being, screaming to be shut down. As time passed by, Joseph has finally figured out who helped them find the terrorists. His working theory is that it's Pin. Meanwhile, Rift finds out about Brightwood and Bree confronts Max with the new information. He knows instantly what that means and explains what the AI is doing in the town. He says it needs to grow to advance, hidden in the town from outside threats where its massive hunger for power can be met, supplied by the field of solar panels just outside the town. Max thinks that at some point it will want more than that because mere survival won't be enough for the new entity. Will and Evelyn have built the Brightwood data center, which will only be the stepping stone to the AI's expansion and evolution. Lastly, Max tells Bree that the only way to stop it is to wait for it to go too far and until other people realize its influence and power domination. Not only building his needs, Will has also built a home for Evelyn and his virtual self. 2 years later, the center is fully operational and has already made significant progress in the fields of nanotechnology. Various inventions which seemed impossible to mankind have been regularly applied in Will's lab. Will informs her that now they can rebuild any material faster than before. This makes the technology applicable in all kinds of medical areas, which might scare humans at first, but will eventually be accepted as the humans realize how important it is for their lives. One night, Martin is beaten up by robbers, and is brought to Will to be cured. He saves Martin by injecting his nanotechnology inside of him that's able to repair his body from the inside. Furthermore, it makes him psychically stronger than a human being. Evelyn is amazed at first, not scared. As she speaks to Martin, she realizes that she's actually talking to Will through his body, who now has control of Martin through his nanotechnology. Evelyn freaks out when she learns what Will is capable of, leading to her having nightmares. Meanwhile, Rift gets footage of Martin's superhuman abilities and they leak the footage online, to uncover the Brightwood mystery. At the same time, people from the town begin coming to the facility to be healed from their illness. Will tells Evelyn about the footage and his breakthrough in the medical use of nanotechnology. He thinks that it's time for everyone to find out about it too, so he tells her to call Joseph and Buchanan for a visit to the facility. When the two of them arrive, they are greeted by Evelyn, who takes them to the facility's lab for a tour. Will welcomes them in the lab and surprises Joseph, who isn't sure what Will is either. Inside the lab, they see the new and improved quantum processors based on Pin, and witness the power of nanotechnology. Will heals a blind man in the lab and explains that the humans that go through the treatment are now enhanced and modified. They are connected in a network, able to work both autonomously and in unison, part of a collective mind. According to Will, this is only a small part of what they can achieve in the future. Before the two leave, Joseph hands Evelyn a message that tells her to run away from the facility. Later, he and Buchanan realize that it's time to inform the army of the situation there, so the agent talks to a colonel from Washington. Meanwhile, Bree informs Max of the situation in Brightwood as well, so he decides that it's time to speak to Joseph because of his connections to the government. Buchanan and the colonel agree that they will need the help of the terrorists, to use them as scapegoats if anything goes awry in the mission to take Will down. Max's and Joseph's meeting reinforces their cooperation, even though Joseph has a hard time understanding how Max could become a part of Rift. Max is the most important part of the cooperation between Rift and the army because he knows part of the source code for Will's consciousness and he can hack it. With that, preparations in the Rift space begin. Meanwhile, Evelyn and Will have an argument, because she suddenly becomes more attuned to what is actually going on there. She freaks out and leaves, but as soon as she's outside, the army attacks the facility. The enhanced humans avoid battle with them while Martin protects Evelyn, though when they go too far, Will decides to fight back. Evelyn gets back inside, as the army distracts one part of the enhanced humans, just so they can get one of them alone and capture him, disconnecting him from Will. Will tells Evelyn that they have Martin and that they'll use him and the source code inside of him, to create a virus able to destroy him. Simultaneously, Will begins restoring it and sending his nanotech into the world. Evelyn makes another discovery in the facility, that Will has found a way to build entire human bodies using his technology. Will calls it evolution, but she becomes more afraid of him, especially when Will gives her the option to upload her into the quantum computer as well. Evelyn runs away and checks into a motel. In the meantime, Rift and the army are preparing Martin for the job. He can't survive without his connection to Will, but Max still manages to create the virus from the source code. The next day, the army finds Evelyn and brings her back to their headquarters. Max explains everything to her, about Martin and about what he thinks the entity is. Unlike her, he still doesn't believe that the AI is Will, and as a demonstration of the AI's intentions, he shows her a drop of rainwater under the microscope. It is filled with nanites, which could take over the world in less than a year. Though not completely convinced that the AI isn't Will, Evelyn realizes the danger and volunteers to be the carrier for the virus because she is the only one Will trusts. She's willing to sacrifice herself to be uploaded into his network for the good of mankind. Agreeing to the plan, Evelyn gets back to the facility while the army and Rift are set up in the town. When she arrives, Will greets her at the door in his new body and the others can see it happening from a rooftop in the town. As soon as Will and Evelyn embrace, the colonel goes ahead with his plan to attack the facility, so Will is forced to get her inside and upload her faster. During the attack, Evelyn gets hurt, to Max's surprise. Will finally decides to engage with the army and sends all of the enhanced humans after them. Meanwhile, Max and the terrorists want to follow Evelyn, so they drive over to the facility. Will brings her inside, aware of the virus and what will happen to him if he does it. He has a difficult choice to make while battling the army at the same time, or rather disabling them so they don't get hurt. Max's truck gets toppled over, and once he and Bree get out, she holds him at gunpoint, demanding to upload the virus into Will. One of his enhanced humans is there, so he talks to Max through him. He tells him that he can either upload Evelyn into the computer or heal her, but not both. At last, it's Evelyn who convinces him to upload the virus and destroy himself. As she gets uploaded into the network, she can see that the nanites aren't harming the ecosystem of the planet, but healing it, just as she wanted. Will had done all of it for her, to actualize her ideas about saving the world. The nanites build themselves out of pollutants and clean the air in the process. Forests regrow with their help, and even water gets filtered from everything harmful. In the end, the virus takes hold, so the nanites leave the people's bodies and everyone is released. Joseph and the others realize that Will didn't kill anyone in the fight. Evelyn finally realizes that the AI was always Will all along, and they die together, uploaded in the massive horde of nanites that he has sent out in the world. The last spark of life drains from Will's new body, lying next to Evelyn. Max walks into their home, ultimately understanding the truth about the AI himself. After the events in the facility, the entire world goes dark with all technology being rendered useless. Max thinks that all of it was done by Will to give humanity another chance at a new life. Max then visits Will's and Evelyn's garden, where he sees nanites in the rainwater. He thinks that everything that Will did was so that he and Evelyn can be together. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.